What's going on? What's going on? Thank you for tuning into the Cigars with Mac podcast. Today's podcast is titled, Why Men Must Deal with Reality. I'm going to say that one more time. Why men must deal with reality. Yeah. Oh yeah. We as men, we learn at a young age why we have to deal with reality. But before I go into that, I want to thank you for downloading the podcast. I want to thank you for liking the podcast. I want to thank you for sharing the podcast. Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Cigars with Mac Podcast on YouTube. Subscribe to me on your favorite podcasting platform, i.e. Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts. It don't matter. I'm there. I'm not present on the internet. Also, if you'd like to support the podcast financially, hit us up at $Cigars with Mac. If you have any show topics, hit me up at info@cigarswithmacpod.com. That's info@cigarswithmacpod.com. Anyway, people, seems like we're finally moving in the right direction as a country, slowly but surely, as far as getting the stimulus checks, direct payments to the American people. Yeah, they kind of shortchanged us a little bit. And we're supposed to be happy with that, but I'm not happy with that. Nah. But it is what it is, man. Can you really trust a politician? Nah, you can't. Politicians are not our friends. Politicians serve one thing: their own interest. Plain and simple, people. And when it all is said and done, they all trying to get that golden parachute retirement. You know, during the founding of this great nation, politicians and statesmen, if I remember correctly, they didn't receive a salary. It was more of a civic duty. They did their civic duty and then they went back to their normal jobs, their normal occupations. But nowadays you have what we call career politicians. And they are basically muddying the waters because there are good people out there who would be great candidates for political positions, i.e. state or federal or local government. But hey, I'm not here to talk about politics. We'll do that some other time. Anyway, what prompted me to talk about why men must deal with reality, I look at on Facebook and especially on some of these like pages and groups, and I've noticed that men just don't get the attention that women get. This is just one example. We as men don't get that attention. We have to truly put in the work because we don't have the gift of being beautiful. Yeah, some men are good-looking men, handsome men, but that only goes so far. Women have an advantage, man, especially when it comes to social media, because unfortunately people enjoy looking at beautiful women. Hell, I do. Just straight up. You know? And a man has to learn to just deal with certain things. Yeah, in life, you shouldn't just accept things, but there are some things that are just natural order. For instance, whenever there's a natural disaster, they never say evacuate the men, women, and children. They say evacuate the women and children, because society looks at men as if we can fend for ourselves. And to a degree, most of us can. Most of us can. But I look at the generation nowadays, man. These young people, man, are so damn scary. They're scared to do anything. They're you know, I don't want to say they're cowards, but they're scared. They don't want to leave home. They don't want to take chances. They, you know, it's just, I couldn't imagine being that age that some of these kids are, with all this technology at their fingertips, and to not take advantage of it. I mean, that just makes no sense to me. I can't fathom that. But unfortunately, that's what's going on nowadays. And a lot of these kids will be open. They will be ready. I mean, they're not going to be ready for the rude awakening ahead of them, man. Because a lot of them, man, they're baby, they're coddled. And don't get me wrong, as a parent, yeah, you want the best for your child, but you don't want to fuck them up and baby them. I always tell the story of how a friend of mine, when I had my first son, I never forget, he told me, he gave me the best advice. He said, the best advice I'm going to give you is no baby talk. He said, because you got to teach manhood coming out the womb. You can't wait until that boy is 18 and leaving the house, then teach him how to be a man. It starts from day one. And you know, that's the problem with some parents, especially some single moms, those that are, you know, benefiting off of the child support system. You know, I've heard of men saying, hey, let me raise my son, and the mother refusing. And then when a boy gets out of hand, now they want daddy to fix it, but by that time it's too late. Or if it's not too late, he gonna have his work cut out for him. And so why men must deal with reality is because we have to bear the physical aspect of life. Not saying that women don't, because they do. But what I mean is, a lot of times women can afford to take hiatus, take breaks, but a man can't do that. I mean, there's a young lady I follow her on Instagram, beautiful young lady. This lady was a police officer, and because she had mental setbacks, she resigned, and now she just lives in her van, travels the country. And I'm not knocking her, but unfortunately, a man can't live like that. Now, I'm pretty sure she has somebody back home helping her, or she probably has a significant other that she doesn't show. But even still, man, that's not reality. And there's no way in hell a man could do that. There's just no fucking way. It ain't happening. And that's the reason why I tell men a lot of times, man, you have to learn to check your behavior at the door. You have to learn something I learned when I joined the military. is to leave your problems in your bed. When you get ready, when you go to work, you leave that shit at home and you put your game face on. I've even heard women say, hey, I speak my mind regardless. I tell you what's on my mind because that's what I want to do. I'm real. I'm a boss. But if a man spoke his mind, he could lose his life in some instances because some people out here don't play about shit like that. And that's why as a man, you gotta learn how to move calculated. Every move you do has to be calculated. For instance, statistically, the majority of divorces are initiated by women. Not saying that men don't initiate divorces, but most men are gonna be like, hey, if I divorce this woman, and if they have children, I gotta, pay child support. I gotta be a weekend dad. Now I'm gonna bite the bullet and deal with what I gotta deal with because at the end of the day, it's not about me, it's about the children. And the sad thing is that women get to, for the most part, not all, but there's a sect of women. There's a certain type of woman who purely goes off mere emotion. And that is bothersome. And as they say, the majority of wars were started because of a woman. And the older I get, I see what they're talking about. I really do. But in this world as a man, we learn to navigate and do things differently, and we have to. And the reason why is because we must think about the future. I mean, the older I get, man, the more I understand that as a man, you have something to lose. Just one mistake can set you back. One time that you out here doing something you ain't got no business doing with a woman and you get her ass pregnant and now you got a bill for 18 years that you didn't even sign up for. And as a man, we have to learn how to not only think different, but we have to do different. There's a good brother I known. He came over to my house today, man. We've been knowing each other for almost 10 years, and we finally got a chance to connect, man. And he and I, man, were really reflecting on our lives, man, and how we really come very far because, as a man, we really can't afford to just sit around and pontificate over bullshit. The moment a man, and let me hit on relationships. The moment a man gets into a monogamous or a polygamous relationship, women are expecting for you to provide. Even if you make less money than she does, she is expecting for you to provide. Why? Because women are designed for security. They just are. Women want to know the bills are getting paid, food on the table, everything's good. They want that security. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there have been times as a man where I was not wise in my decisions. I wasn't wise in my decision. You know? And of course, I was a younger man, but society doesn't care about that. I made decisions that put myself and my family in financial ruin. And as a man, I had to sit back and strategize and figure out how was I going to get myself and my family out of this predicament. And I did. And it took time. But the good thing about me was I had a great support system from my wife. And I'm so grateful for that. You know, I bounced back. I survived. And the thing about it being a man and dealing with reality, you have to learn how to ask for help sometimes. You have to understand you can't do it alone. And I'm not going to say don't try not to do it alone, but I'm going to say understand there are some things you just can't do by yourself, man. For instance, I was trying to move these couches. I live in a 2-story house and I got one couch up here. And my son asked me, could he help? And I said, son, you really can't help me because you're too small. But you and your brother are. But there's going to come a day where these boys will be, you know, I'm 5'9", 5'10", and actually 5'9.75", 5'9 3/4 to be exact. But I just round it to 5'10". And anyway, that's going to come a day where these boys, I can tell you right now, my boy is going to be well over 6 feet. And they'll be able to help me. But for right now, I got to do it by myself unless I call somebody. And the time I wait to call somebody, I can just go ahead and strategize like I do and just do it myself, you know. But what you find as a man is that sometimes it's hard to ask for help. Because we do have ego. And ego is not necessarily a bad thing, but as a man, you have to learn not to let it get in your way. And that's something I learned. That's something that I had to learn. And guess what? I'm still learning. But what I try to relate to other young men and I'm going to keep repeating this, is you have to make smart decisions. Especially when you have people depending on you. That really makes a difference. I promise you it does. And I look at, for instance, competing in life. A lot of people say they don't compete, they don't believe in competition. But essentially, we all compete in some way, shape, or form. And that's something men learn at a young age, is about competition. Who's the best fighter? Who's the best ball player? Who's the best basketball, baseball player? You get it. Because at the end of the day, we understand that just when you think you're comfortable, somebody comes along and you're done. Oh yeah, and tonight I'm not smoking a cigar. I'm just kind of dialoguing, man. I'll tell you, one thing about smoking a cigar is I feel like it enhances my creative juices. And not that I'm not creative right now, but I feel a little bit naked without my cigar, man. And you know what? I got to get over that because at the end of the day, smoking cigars is just a mere enhancement of what I am. That's all it is. That's it. But guys, I wanted to get a podcast out tonight. This one won't be very long. I apologize. I have so much things I got to do, but I wanted to drop some game out here, man, because this is something I enjoy doing. And again, like I said before, men must deal with reality. We don't have a choice. And something I find funny, a lot of times when I get done podcasting, I have other ideas that come to me, man, and I'm like, oh man, why didn't I say that? Why didn't I do that? And what I may do is every now and again take a intermission just to gather my thoughts together. And like I said, I want, I really want to hit the point home that a lot of times, and especially if there are any single mothers listening to what I'm saying, a lot of times by babying your sons, you're not doing them any good because, one day they're going to have to grow up. One day they're going to have to grow up and they're going to have to learn how to face life head on. As a man, we learn, at least I learned anyway, that I couldn't run from everything. I had to stand 10 toes down and deal with the problem head on. And I'm telling you, it makes you better. It makes you better. For instance, with this stimulus thing, it won't surprise me if they pull the same shit they pulled with the first stimulus check. And if you owe child support, you're not going to get any money. And I'm telling you, man, I think the child support system is probably one of the most corrupt systems on planet Earth. I really do. And I'm not even on child support, but I am definitely an advocate for men not having to be on child support. Because in so many ways, it's just senseless. It, to me, seems to create a division. And it's like you got the government in your business. And nobody wants the government in their business, man. See what I'm saying? See how the creative juices are coming, people? But, excuse me. I feel that, I feel on this topic, I may make this a part 1. And come back and do a part 2. Because I got to handle some more stuff. And I got to move some more of this furniture around. I got some more couches coming in tomorrow, so I want to move. And like I said, I live in a 2-story house, and the way I'm maneuvering the furniture upstairs is very smart because I don't have any help. I learned this technique, as a teenager when I had to move my mother's whole house. And I was able to do it because I strategized as to how I did it by myself. That's how I was able to do it. I figured out a strategy and I worked it, But anyway, I want to thank you for tuning into the Cigars with Mac podcast. Let me say that one more time. I want to thank you for tuning into the Cigars with Mac podcast. Please don't forget to download, like, follow, and share on your favorite podcasting platform. Go on my YouTube channel, Cigars with Mac Podcast. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. And if you want to support the podcast financially, hit us up at $ Cigars with Mac. $ Cigars with Mac. If you got any show topics, hit us up at info@cigarswithmacpod.com. And like I said, this will probably be a part 1. I will come back with a part 2. I'm gonna hit on some more stuff, but I want to go and knock out some more of this stuff, man. 'Cause I got to get up early in the morning and clock in, you know. So anyway, thank you for tuning in. And lovely people, I'm out.